Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and it's been a while, not gonna lie. I lost the charger for my Camry battery when I was moving stuff around. I found it now though, so we have batteries, amazing. I'm gonna be filming 3 videos right now, and you're gonna see this one, and then another one, and then another one, and then hopefully more after that. So yeah, this is gonna be my February wrap up. I know it's now April, but yeah, I'm doing my February wrap up, and then I'm going to be doing first quarter haul and my March wrap up, and then from there we'll go on and like film videos, imagine. So yeah, let's just dive straight in. The first thing I read in February was The Girl of Ink and Stars by Karen Millward-Hargrave. I picked this one up and another one up last year from a charity shop just because I really enjoy, I think every single book that I've read by Karen Millward-Hargrave I've really enjoyed, whether that's middle grade or YA or adult. She can write some books. This one is a middle grade, and it is about a girl who lives on this island. There's a guy who owns, I'm going to put that in quotation marks, you know how white people come to islands and pretend that they own them and then like take over everything from the people that are indigenous. Yeah, there's a guy that owns the island. She's friends with his daughter, and then they both get sort of dragged into this mystery. There's a body that's found. Someone's been murdered, and it's like, who's done this murder? Are they from this village? Are they from outside the village? Because this village is like only the people that live there. The rest of the island is out of bounds, forbidden, they're not allowed to go there. Her father is a cartographer, so he has maps from back in the day when they were allowed to travel around, and from other places that he's travelled to. So she kind of ropes herself into trying to help on this mystery by pretending to be a boy, and also by showing the map skills, trying to find the daughter of this rich man, because she goes missing, trying to help find out who has done this murder. So yeah, it's actually, I really enjoyed this book. It's really fast-paced. There's a lot of magical things in there as well, so when you're reading it you're like, is this somebody that's from the village? Is this some sort of entity that's done it? Like, what is going on? And throughout the book it definitely gets more and more towards the sort of magical, fantastical side of it. But I really enjoyed this book. Definitely a big fan. I think it made me cry at the end, but that doesn't mean anything because I cry at all the books. But yes, very good start to the month because I absolutely loved this. After that I finished the, whatever this series is called. And I Darken is the first book in this. I don't know if it has like a specific name for the series, but this is Bright We Burn by Kirsten White. So this is the third and final book in this trilogy. It is a Vlad the Impaler retelling, but make Vlad a teenage girl. I absolutely adored this series as well, and this book was no different. There are 3 sort of main characters in here. So we've got Lada, who is this Vlad character. We have her brother Radu, and then Mehmed, who is the... Oh, I don't want to spoil stuff in the first book, so, because this is the third, I don't want to give you too much details of what's happening. He is somebody they meet in the first book, and his family is like the royalty of certain countries who want to take over other countries. Yeah, I can't really get too much into this one because I don't want to give any of the spoilers away, because I really enjoyed this series. I loved how aggressive and dark and unlikable Lada is, because it's so like rare to see that. Girls, especially in fantasy books, girls are a lot of the time given this position of being, oh, I don't really know anything and then I get powers, or oh, I'm not really sure what's going on but I'm also really hardcore. Oh, I'm just weak but also strong. In this, Lada's like, fuck you all, I'll kill you all, I'm hardcore, I will do what I want, I will get my country back. Like, she's that bitch, and I love the fact that we have a character in here that is not afraid to be unlikable. She's not afraid to murder people or like break things to get what she wants. And it's so refreshing to see a female character be allowed to be like that. So yeah, if you haven't read this series somehow, then I definitely recommend it. I know it's from several years back, so a lot of people probably have read it, but I absolutely love this. Her brother is adorable as well, and as the series goes on you get more from his point of view as well, which I really enjoyed. You see a lot of his internal conflicts because he's obviously the brother of Lada, and then Mehmed is like his best friend, but also there's unrequited feelings there as well, so he's dealing with that a lot. But also he's very much like seen as just the pretty face. Oh, he's just there because he's pretty and he doesn't really have anything behind the eyes, but he does a lot of the backstage conspiring political stuff. Sometimes you need to use your words. Lada uses her knives. But yeah, I absolutely love this series, and the last book was everything that I wanted it to be. So yeah, amazing. Another great book to read. After that, I read The Boy in the Black Suit by Jason Reynolds. I believe this might have been on the Simon Schuster, like they send an email out on their website each month. There's certain books that are free that you can read from their website. I'm pretty sure that's where I got this one from. Possibly, maybe, perhaps. Like 90% sure. But yeah, I really enjoy Jason Reynolds in general, so I thought, you know what, let's give this a read. It's free, why not? This is about a boy who's gone through some hardships in that his mother died quite recently, and there's a lot of emotions that he's not sure how to use, what to do with. He doesn't know how to feel. He doesn't want people to feel sorry for him, so he doesn't want to talk to people, but also he kind of should talk to people because he's got a lot of like feelings building up and stuff. So what he does basically is wears this dark suit and goes to people's funerals so he can see people that are in the same position of him. He looks for the person that is clearly in the most emotional pain, and he feels a connection to them people. And then he gets a job at an undertaker's, and he can do this and it not be so weird because he's allowed to be there. But the story kind of progresses from there, and there's also a love interest. The concept of the story I really thought was a good idea, but I didn't like love it. I think I gave it like 3 or 3.5 stars. There's nothing wrong with it, but I didn't feel as emotional, I didn't feel as connected. I did cry, definitely. There's a bit of the when somebody, I think he might have been like listening to somebody doing the eulogy of something. Oh, I remember. So one of the funerals that he's at, the guy was an actor and he had wrote his own play as him, like, you need to reenact this at my funeral and this is what you need to say. So it was like, it was heartbreaking but also heartwarming that he was being part of it. So I definitely did cry at that bit. But yeah, there was just something about it that I didn't quite connect to. I'm not sure, obviously the whole love interest thing, did it needs to be that and this like grief thing? I don't know if it really connected enough for me. But yeah, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favourite Jason Reynolds books that I've ever read. So yeah. After that, I read a comic from Boom Studio, so I get the emails from them that send you to the website where they have arcs on there, and they had this one called The War by Garth Ennis and Becky Cloonan. I enjoy Garth Ennis. He wrote Preacher, which is one of my favourite series. Love Preacher. And The War was one of the ones that they were talking about in the email, like, oh, this is a really good one that you should read. It's basically post-apocalyptic, not even post-apocalyptic, it's like it's happening now. Nuclear war, I believe, is happening, like, it's not post, it's now apocalyptic. And there's a lot of political talk in here. We're following a group of friends, and right at the beginning, as soon as you get into the comic, they're like talking politically of how they think about certain things and policies and politics and stuff. So it's definitely very political, but then it sort of just becomes, I mean, what would you expect if nuclear war happened? It's not good for anybody. So yeah, I gave this one a 4 stars. I enjoyed it. The artwork was good. I enjoyed the premise. It's something very different. I enjoy reading stuff that's dark, and this is definitely dark. If you're thinking it's going to be like, oh, and then it happened and everybody at the end managed to find their way out of it. No, this is dark, dark, dark. It is realistic in the way that stuff like infrastructure is going to start falling, nothing's working, people are going to get hurt. It's very that. I will say I was a bit taken aback. I think it might even have been like the last panel of the last page, or it might have just been like the last page, but something happens that I'm not going to say because it's a spoiler, and it just felt really out of the blue and like it wasn't stuck in reality of the rest of the story. So I was a bit like iffy about that. It just felt like it was there for shock value, so I wasn't sure about that. I don't know the thought process behind that. If you know, you know, I guess. Read the comic if you're interested, because, you know, it's something that's just like, okay, that happened, but also why? When I read it, I was shocked, but then I was like, but is that the only reason it's been put in there, to shock me, and it's not really part of anything? So yeah, the ending did like twist it a little bit, because right before that, the ending, it felt shocking and dark, but in a realistic, logical conclusion way, and then it's like sort of jumped the shark a little bit. So I wasn't sure about that, but other than that, I very much enjoyed this one. And if you want to read some dark shit, then read it, because it's definitely there. We're about halfway through, so let's head over to a little kitty cat sponsor video, and I'll be back with the rest of the books that I read. So after that, I'm gonna just clump these two in one, and that is, I read volume 1 and 2 of Monstrous by Mary Lou and Sana Takeda. This one I've obviously seen online for many years, since whenever it started coming out. I don't know, this has always been like a YouTube darlings, a booktube darling comic, but I'd never read it before, and I found it online for super cheap, the first couple of volumes, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy them, I'm gonna read them. And I'm glad I did, because I very much enjoyed this. I gave the first one 4 stars, the second one, no, I gave the first one 5 stars, and the second one either 4 or 4.5. I still very much enjoyed it, but this first one I was like, you know what, that's how you start a series, that's how you engage me, that is, you're giving me what I need to be given. Let me just show you the sort of artwork. We'll just flip to the first page here. So this is the kind of artwork in here. So this is a series, and it's based, it's like in the past, but also make it steampunk, but also make it a bit fantastical. And it's about humans and arcanas, who are, if I remember correctly, they're like human and magical people's kids together, so they have stuff going on about them. And you know what humans are like, with like persecution and that. So obviously the humans are out here persecuting everybody that's not like them, because that's how humans roll in every sort of realistic and non-realistic world, unfortunately. But yeah, I absolutely loved this series. There are so many different little characters that are brought into this. There's so many twists and turns and different things, and even though it's really complex, it's written in a way that it's not overwhelming. So you're given the information, a lot of information, but in a way that you can actually take the information in, which is what we want. Our main character is basically being hunted because she shouldn't be existing in the eyes of humans. You know what humanity's like. So yeah, definitely want to carry this one on. I've been keeping my eye out for volume 3, so yeah, hopefully I'm going to get it sooner rather than later, because I do want to carry this series on, definitely. So much interesting, like, backstory, different family roles, different people are shown, family and friends, in different ways that you did expect. Twists, love it. I know I'm not really explaining it very well, but like I said, there's a lot of information, but when you read it, it makes sense. And it's really good. Oh, and also, you know how obviously comics are in like issues in the one volume? After each issue there's a little, let me just find one because it's really cute. So there are cats in here that have multiple tails and can also talk to people, and are also like a little bit tricksy and naughty. And they have these pages. Let me get my face out the way so it actually loads. So this is Professor Tim Tam, and he's just telling you about stuff. He tells you about the world, he tells you about stuff that's happened in the past, wars, the politics, the people. So it like gives you little bits of information like that, but also make it like this professor telling all the little baby cats, and it's really cool. So that's always a bonus. Look, there he is again. He's telling the youths. He's telling the youths about the Arcanic Empire, and also us. After that I read volume 2 of Alex and Ada by Jonathan Luna and Sarah Vaughan. I read the first one perhaps last year. I think last year, maybe the year before. But basically I got a bunch of like volume 1s from Sci-Fi for super cheap, so I just tried loads of different series and I enjoyed this one, so I picked up the second one, and I felt like I remembered the storyline enough to not need to reread the first one. So basically this is about Alex, and Ada is a robot, and it's just about robots and them having autonomy, or should they not have autonomy, and having all these robots people about who do your every whim, but also you can like do something to them so they have their own existence. But also you shouldn't do that because it's illegal and everything, because, you know, AI and that. But yeah, very much enjoyed this one. Let me just show you the artwork. So it looks like this. And yeah, in the first volume, Alex gets Ada. His mum gives her to him as a birthday present. And he's like, I don't want one. Who keeps bing bing binging? Annoyingly. Yeah, he doesn't want a robot person in his life, but he gets given one. And then, you know, he starts learning about all these different robot underground of the people having their own existence and turning off this switch in them that makes them do what they're told, basically. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't think this is a long series. I think there might just be like 3 or 4 volumes in it. So yeah, something that I should probably finish rather than just leave, like I do with a lot of stuff. Hopefully I'll read it. After that, I read Tragedies and Triumphs in the North. Russian exploration of the Arctic, 1910 to 1915. This one I got from the Fram Museum when I went to Oslo in February. This is one of 3. If you watched my Oslo video, you would have seen the other things that I picked up. But yeah, this is about 4 different Russian expeditions. 3 of them went badly, 1 of them went not badly. And it tells you a bit of information about them, because it's like, obviously there are a lot of really popular known expeditions, like Endurance, for example. Everybody knows Shackleton because of how incredible his journey was. So these are like lesser known, but also, you know, because 3 of them didn't really, you know, stuff happened and then they didn't really work very well. One of the things I found particularly interesting in this is on 2 of these expeditions they had women on board, which is not something you ever really read about, especially in 1910 to 1915, so very early, over 100 years ago, exploring the icy places. And they had women on board for, I think both of them were like nursey slash doctory slash the health professional on board. One of them, she just basically was asked because the original doctor was just like, nah, don't want to. So she was sort of knew the captain of the boat, and he was like, can you come on and do it, please? And they have to ask permission from her dad, and he said yes, so she went on and did it. So yeah, I did find that particularly interesting because you really don't see women in like exploration-y stuff. But this is basically like, it has a lot of information, but then like lots of words like this, but then also pictures. So it has pictures from the expeditions and stuff. So yeah, very, very interesting. Like I say, 3 out of the 4 of these were not successful. One of them in particular, it's quite funny because the guy was just like terrible. He didn't have anything, he didn't really know anything about it, which seems to be the case. When people don't really know what they're doing and they think they can just wing it, when they're going into these very hostile environments, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. So like, oh, I don't really know about dogs. Oh, I don't really have enough food on board. I don't really have enough... One of them didn't even have winter clothing, I think, and they're literally going to the Arctic, you know what I mean? So yeah, very interesting, and it's always in hindsight, but also it shouldn't be hindsight that you need to have food and clothing and, you know, stuff to be able to exist. So yeah, interesting times. And then the last thing I read was volume 3, well not volume 3 because it's an omnibus, it's actually volumes 7 to 9 of number 6. So this is the last of the 3 omnibus versions. I read this one, I read the other 2 last year I believe. But yeah, very much enjoyed this series. It is a, what's the word? Dystopian. So number 6 is this city that is perfect. There's no crime, everybody lives perfectly, everything's wonderful, everything's gorgeous. It never is it? There's always underlining currents, somewhat's in play in the background. The people living outside number 6 are just seen as like peasant rats. They're just crap. I say rat because one of the characters, that's his name. But yeah, basically it's one guy who's always lived inside the city, one guy who lives outside the city, them coming together and trying to dismantle what is happening in the city, because obviously the big wigs at the top are doing some dodgy shit, because they always are. They always are. It's just, I'll say, show the artwork, it looks like a manga, you know what I mean? There you go, that's what it looks like in here. But I very much enjoyed finishing this series off. obviously it's all been kicking off for a while, and in here we get some resolutions, we get some backstory of what is kicking off, we get backstory of who Rat is and where he's sort of come from, and yeah, very much enjoyed it. I'll definitely reread this series all in one big chunk now at some point, obviously not now, like now, but I'm glad I found it. And this one, if you've been here for a little while, last year I ordered a package from Sci-Fi, which is a wonderful website where you can get books from normal hand and second hand. I ordered a package from them and they accidentally sent me 2, and one of them was just 3 things that I didn't order. It was obviously somebody else's order, and I emailed them and they said, oh, it's our problem, so just like keep them or donate them or whatever. And that's how I found out that this series existed, because the first omnibus was in that package that I got for free, so bonus. I'm glad that happened because I really enjoyed this series. So there we go, that is everything that I read in February. Let me know down below anything that you read. If you've read any of these, what were your thoughts, feelings, whatever, comment section if you want. That's what it's there for. Like, subscribe if you want, do the things, everything and all that. And I will see you in a few days with my first quarter haul. I'm filming it right now, I swear.